Hi, guys. It's me, yours truly, Beverly Sherelle Johnson, lifestyle health coach and consultant, registered nurse for over 33 years, known as the Uncommon Flexitarian, and the creator of Eat What. Eat What is my weekly program that gives you resourceful information and education as to the many USDA and FDA food safety and health concerns. Now, I just don't wish to alarm you, but I also wish to give you solutions, concrete solutions to build your immunity, to build your overall health so that you can look good, feel good, and have a more positive outlook on life. Welcome. Welcome to another edition of Eat What. Now, remember, as a member of our Eat What family, you are always welcome to share the information and to tell others and invite them to hear and learn what you are hearing and learning here yourself. Remember, our membership is always free, and we always invite you to share the information that you have learned so others can be informed and educated as well. And also, if you have ever missed an episode of E1, there are no worries, no concerns. But if you go to the members area, all you have to do is click on the members tab, click on the file, and you receive every article that we have ever done. And if you click on the media tab, you will also be in touch with every program that we have ever done since the beginning. So you can be informed, like it and share it. You can be informed, spread the information to others so others can be informed as well. All right, well, let's get into today's topic: educate a woman, educate a nation. Well, today's theme on educate a woman, educate a nation is based because the month of March is Women's History Month. There are many accomplishments that women have done throughout the centuries. Some noted, some others not noted, some very open, and then some very hidden. But all of the successes of women are culminated in this month of 31 days, and we celebrate women everywhere. So to every woman and to every woman who has impacted your life, who has served your life, influenced your life, and led you to better and greater purpose, we salute them today. Happy Women's Day, happy Women's History Month, and we celebrate you, women. All righty now. All right. So one of the things that we are doing during this month of March, we are focusing on health conditions, some are that are specific to women that we need to know about. All right. Now, some conditions do affect men as well, but some conditions are generic just to women. But today's topic affects men and women, and it is the topic of pelvic floor disorders. Now, pelvic floor disorders are a group of it's a terminology. Sometimes it's called in the medical terminology PFD. We shorten everything in medicine so we can write faster. PFD, pelvic floor disorder, means that the muscles that align the base of the pelvis, the pelvis has sort of a U shape, and then there's muscles that support organs that are closest to the pelvis. That would be your intestines, your bladder, the uterus. All of these organs are supported by muscles, and on the base of the pelvis is called the pelvis floor. That's just how we that's how we just use the terminology in medicine. Okay, so pelvic floor disorders are common. They are common in men and women, but more so, I believe, the research is showing more so in women because we have childbearing, and we have extra things that we experience through the pelvic floor. But we're focusing on not to say men versus women, but what we're focusing on is what goes on when your doctor tells you you have been diagnosed with a pelvic floor disorder. All right. Now, when you are in your doctor's office, and I always, the information that you receive, always go back to your doctor. If you think that this is affecting you, your medical doctor, doctor of osteopathy, nurse practitioner, even the herbalist, all those who are on your medical care team, all of those who are on the team, make sure that they know what you're doing, the things that you're learning, and see, does it apply to you? Never take information here and just say, okay, that's it, and you go off and do something that might eventually compromise you because you didn't have all of the correct information. All right. So everything that you have learned, particularly if you're embarking upon something new, just go have it run through your medical team and make sure that this is something that is safe and that it applies to you, and let them know everything that you're doing. They're there to help you. They are there to help you get better. So, as we always say, you can look good, feel good, and have a more positive outlook on life. All right. All righty. So, in when your doctor approaches you and states, well, the symptoms that you have been describing, they are culminated in what we call pelvic floor disorder. What does that actually mean? Well, let's go back to the symptoms. Maybe you have been experiencing some pain, some heaviness in the pelvic region. Maybe you have had some urinary incontinence. All right. Or maybe you've had some other waste material of incontinence. Maybe in terms of men, since this does affect men as well, maybe the term erectile dysfunction has come up in a conversation with your medical team. So all of these things can have can have bearing on the diagnosis of pelvic floor disorder. All right. All right. And the pelvic floor, again, it's a group of muscles. It is a group of muscles that support it's sort of like, if you think about it as a hammock. All right, think about it, these pelvic muscles as a hammock. And if you think about it that way, think about this hammock supporting the muscles that are directly above it. Now, in terms of women, since this is Women History Month, we're including the bladder, the urethra, the intestines. We're including the rectum, the uterus, the cervix, the vagina, okay? In men, we're talking about the genital areas, okay? And we're also, of course, talking about your bladder, your urethra, your intestines. We're talking about these things because, and your rectum, of course, but we're talking about these things because pelvic floor disorder is something that is seen, sometimes it's missed and misdiagnosed. But as the medical community gets better with this, of course, more accurate diagnoses will come about. All right. So a lot of times when you're told that the symptoms that you have been experiencing, maybe you have been experiencing, like I said, bladder problems or incontinence problems of urine or bowel. Maybe you have been experiencing pain or heaviness, or any of the other common symptoms associated with this. Then you want to know, well, what is going on in my body? What has gone on is that the muscles have lost their tone. All right. Hypotonic. Hypo means less as opposed to hyper, which means more. Hypotonic muscle tone. And when this muscle tone is as such, hypotonic muscle tone, then the muscle tone is weakened, and all of the muscles, all of the organs that the muscles were supporting, they're not getting weaker. They're going to bear weight on those weakened muscles, and you're going to sag. Okay. And it's going to, the weight is going to cause the pain, is going to cause the incontinence, is going to cause all of the symptoms that you're describing to your doctor. Okay. All righty then. So that's trying to give you a visual picture. So if you think of the pelvic muscles as a hammock, all right, and the weight of the organs on top of that hammock are bearing down on it. These muscles are no longer to support the organs on top on the hammock as it used to. All right, so we've already talked about what is a pelvic floor disorder, And one thing I do want to mention, the pelvic floor disorder can come along through age. It can come along through injury. If you had an injury to your pelvic area, a car accident or any type of trauma to that area, this can also result in a diagnosis of pelvic floor disorder. All right, women, we go through childbearing. Those of us who choose to have children, you go through childbearing, age, and many other factors that might have a bearing on the muscles on the pelvic floor. Hysterectomies, those type of surgeries, all of that has a bearing on these muscles. All of that has a bearing on these muscles. So you have to really, really be careful. Really, really be careful when you are when you are going throughout your day and you're noticing symptoms. You have to be careful about what you're doing. Something that I do want to mention: improper lifting. Now, there are many jobs, particularly now, out in the warehousing industry, that have seen success through COVID. All right, they did not have to shut down, except when the government said everything shut down, but they were able to keep something going, particularly in the warehousing area. So if improper lifting, knowing how to lift properly, using your knees, not your back, using your abdominal muscles, I mean, using your knees. Well, using your thighs, using your thigh muscles, using your abdominal muscles, and not lifting improperly is my point that I'm getting at. Helps not to strain those pelvic floor muscles. All right, so you have to lift properly. Improper lifting can put a strain on pelvic floor muscles as well. So you have to know how to lift correctly, keeping your back straight. A lift from the stronger portions of your body, not just with your arms. Keeping your back straight, lift with a smooth motion, a smooth continuous motion. Make sure that you're stepping, you make clear steps, making sure that your body alignment is correct. All of these are important, and it helps prevent pelvic floor disorder. All right, so you have to be, if you're in the warehousing industry or anywhere where you have to do lifting, repeated lifting, over and over and over, repeated lifting. First of all, ask for help. Anything that you cannot lift by yourself, and make sure that you're lifting properly at all times. And when you're in the home, the same thing goes on as well. If you're caring for someone in your home who might be bedridden, or might not be able to be as ambulatory as they once were, or if you're moving furniture around, you have to make sure that you're lifting and moving properly, so that you don't cause damage to yourself. All right, so all of these things, some things we don't even think about, some everyday activities can cause pelvic floor disorder. We have to be careful about that. Bladder problems, what is called organ prolapse. All right, now let me explain this just briefly, with particularly in thinking about women. Prolapse, and I'm just reading directly from the research, happens in women when the pelvic muscles and tissue can no longer support more than one pelvic organ, causing them to drop or press into the vagina. All right. For instance, uterine prolapse, the cervix and the uterus can descend into the vagina, and might even come out through the vaginal opening. In vaginal prolapse, the top of the vagina loses support and can drop toward or through the vaginal opening. Prolapse can also cause a kink in the urethra, and that is the tube that brings the urine from the bladder to the outside of the body. Now, see, this is some of the severe symptoms that can happen with pelvic organ prolapse. All right, when women, we do a lot of lifting. We lift children. We're in the healthcare industry. We talked about last week how women are, when it comes to those who have to be cared for in the home. It is the women. It is the daughters. It is those who are basically traditionally thought only having roles at home, who are assigned to these home care duties. All right, we are assigned to these home care duties. We're doing a lot of lifting, a lot of bending, a lot of pulling, a lot of stretching. We're doing a lot. And if we're not doing it correctly, we can cause harm to our own body. Causing harm to our own bodies is really just counteractive, particularly if you're in caregiving, because the caregiver cannot give out. The caregiver should not be doing more than what is necessary to order to provide care, because the caregiver will give out and then the one needing care will still be here continuing on. You have to protect yourself. You have to care for yourself. So even though it might be a decision, of the one who is being cared for, not to have ancillary services or nursing home services. Like we talked about last week, I believe. We talked about cultures. There are some cultures and some family dynamics where the thought of a loved one going to a nursing home is a horrible idea, the worst person ever. But weigh that against the damage that you're doing to your own body. You have to think outside the box. And if you cannot bring services in, perhaps you can make some other arrangements and maybe, like you said, maybe have outside activities for this loved one too, so they can receive help from outside. There are many programs. There are many help institutions who will provide help, and still maybe it might mean that a nursing home might be warranted. So I'm just cautioning, for especially against caregivers. I am a nurse. I've been a nurse for over 33 years, and I've seen it over and over and over again. Precious people lose the functions of their body being caregivers and just really deteriorating their bodies in that way. And then they themselves become the ones that need care. So we really have to be careful. Other incidences, when we talk about pelvic floor disorder, you always talk about bladder control problems, or even there are bowel control incontinence problems. And this can be very, very embarrassing, no matter if you are a man or a woman. Think about it. Think about it. You're trying to carry on your activities of daily living, and then you have incontinence problems, not just when you sneeze or if you laugh. Sometimes it could be just basic incontinence where you are in need of incontinence care, such as what would happen with such what to happen if you would need to have a diaper or something like that, or an incontinence pad, making that a part of your routine and getting dressed. We all have to be careful. And if you're caring for someone who is exhibiting these symptoms, encourage them to talk to their healthcare team and see what can be done. It can be very, very embarrassing and a very, very difficult subject to approach, to explain to someone that I think there is a problem in this area. All right, so we are talking about briefly pelvic floor disorders. We're talking a little bit about what causes them. We talked about improper lifting. We talked about we talked about improper lifting and things that can go on at work. We also can talk about childbirth. Women, this is specific for us, of course. Through pregnancy and childbirth, the link to pelvic floor problems can increase. There's a study out that I did read, and some studies, and I have to look and see who all were involved in the study, but some studies are involved saying that even giving vaginal birth as opposed to cesarean birth would predispose women to more pelvic floor disorders. Just at base hearing, I'm not saying whether they're right or wrong, but just in base hearing, I know that vaginal births are natural births, and anything that's natural for the body, that it would not harm the body. I'm not saying cesareans are bad. There are, of course, many, many instances where you need cesareans. All right. And for those who have been blessed to be a cesarean birth, and those who have gone through cesarean births, there, sometimes it's just necessary. I'm not talking about for cosmetic reasons. I'm talking about for emergency medical reasons. Cesarean births are very, very good. But when you're comparing the natural versus an emergency type situation, you really have to, I believe, and I have not read all of the study, you have to weigh the apples against the apples. If are we doing these cesareans routinely, or is it only on an emergency basis? These are questions I would like to ask, if I were studying or making a study of that. But that's just one study's opinion. And like I said, childbirth, we're getting back to childbirth. Childbirth is a issue with women that can cause pelvic floor disorder. It is an issue that can cause or lead to pelvic floor disorder. Not allowing the muscles to heal in between pregnancies. Yes, back-to-back pregnancies can be a factor. And where the muscles are losing tonality and they become weaker. And there are other factors of straining when you're having a bowel movement. Straining to release your bowels is another incident for both men and women that can cause or be a predisposing factor to pelvic floor disorder. Having and then having genetic issues. All right, and there are some studies that have shown that Caucasians, Latina women appear to have higher risk of some forms of pelvic floor disorder. Now, if this is something that you've noticed, of course, like I said, always go back to your healthcare team, medical doctor, doctor of osteopathy, nurse practitioner, herbalist, all those who are concerned with your health. Talk with this over with your healthcare team. But sometimes, and some studies have shown rather, that certain groups of women, Caucasian and Latina are the two groups of women that were mentioned in this study, appeared to be at higher risk for some forms of pelvic floor disorder. Getting older as we age, and yes, we all exercise and we keep the tonality of our muscles as best we can as we age, and we should, and if you're not, you should be. One thing that you need to be careful of as you age is that you're also exercising your pelvic floor muscles. Again, don't just run to the gym and just jump on a machine. Always have some guidance, always have some direction, always have guidance and direction, a trainer if possible, if at all possible, so that you are doing the correct lifting, the correct bending, the correct stretching, just so that you're not harming your own body. All right. So that's a very important, especially now in the springtime where we've gotten through the holidays. Of course, this is March, so we're talking about St. Patrick's Day, but we've gotten through the majority of holidays and people are thinking more towards springtime, and they're thinking more towards being able to wear some looser clothes during the summer, during the late spring and during the summertime and early fall. So if you're in the gym, getting toned, getting fit in the gym, that's great. That is fantastic. But just make sure that you have guidance and direction when doing so, so you're not doing any harm to your body and your pelvic floor. All right. And your pelvic floor. Now, there are genes. Research has shown that there are even genes that can influence, of course, a women's bones, muscles, and tissue, and, bones, muscles, and tissue. Genes do that. DNA is involved there. And some women they have found out are born with conditions that affect the strength of your pelvic floor muscles. And if you think that this is you, again, talk with your healthcare professionals. All right. Talk with your healthcare professionals. And like I say, if you've had hysterectomy and you still having, you have problems as related to that, talk with your healthcare professionals, because that has been a frequent complaint. Now, what can we do? Both men and women, but what can we do to stop or to decrease the incident of pelvic floor disorder? Of course, what we can do, we can make lifestyle changes. diet, exercise. If those of us who are heavier in weight, you're putting more stress and more pressure on all of your organs, not just the ones on the pelvic floor, but all of your organs. So the more exercise and eating correctly that you do, the better it is. The better it is for you. It's better for you inside as well as outside. So lifestyle changes are very, very important. One of the very very one of the very good exercises that everyone can participate in, and it helps your pelvic floor, is to do walking, routine walking, not just walking while you're at work to and from your stations, but having a set time, a few days a week, where you're getting up and you're walking continuously. You're walking continuously at least an hour, or maybe at least 30 minutes, but continual walking so you can get the cardiac going, and you can give your breathing, your breathing is regulated, and you can give your pelvic floor muscles a chance to get exercise. Do your walking, very inexpensive type of exercise. And what it requires is having some good walking shoes. So find a comfortable gym shoe, a comfortable shoe that you can wear, that you can walk. And it doesn't have to be at a park or a gym, although it can be, or it can just be around the block. There are eight blocks are equal to 1 mile. 8 blocks equal to 1 mile. So if you walked around the block, that's a half a mile right there. All right. So if you continue to build your endurance through walking, you can really help yourself and decreasing or maybe even correct pelvic floor disorder. All right. So lifestyle changes are very, very key. And again, as I always talk about, what is your strategy for being here? So life is a strategy. Life is a strategy. And you have to have a strategy for remaining here on planet Earth. And you have to take care of your body. And taking care of your body includes things such as this: regular exercise. Walking is part of regular exercise. Now, you can also limit the food and the drinks that stimulate your bladder. All right, so food and drinks such as your caffeinated beverages, your soda pops and sugary drinks, all of these things that would stimulate your bladder, you can definitely get rid of or limit for sure. And that can help with you not feeling the urgency to have to urinate, and also can help you also can help you uh, uh, decreasing or perhaps even correct some pelvic floor disorder symptoms. Now, one thing that I always talk to people about is about making sure that you have plenty of fiber, that intestines can hold a remarkable amount of waste within them, but that doesn't help the rest of your body. All right, just think about a sewer that is so congested, but it moves when there's enough movement or enough fluids and enough movement to get it moving. But other than that, it just sits there and the garbage accumulates. Well, let's not treat our bodies that way. Let us not treat our bodies that way. Our intestines are are so vital to our health. The sewer pipeline must be cleared. It must be clean, and eating healthier helps do that. When you stick to fiber and drinking plenty of fluids and stay away from more and more starches and things that would congest the bowel, then you are on your way to better health already. Again, get with your healthcare team. They can help you decide what foods are best for clearing and cleansing your intestine. All right. And this is a good time to do it. There are many cleanses out there, many cleanses that you can talk with your healthcare team about. And, like I always say, the medical doctor of osteopathy, nurse practitioner, the herbalist, let them know the results you're trying to achieve, and let them know that this is something that's very, very important to you. It's part of your life strategy taking care of the waste, taking care of the garbage, making sure that that sewer pipeline, your intestines, is clean and clear. All of the weight of the intestines bears weight on that pelvic floor. I remember several years ago, and when I find the article, I will share it with you. But they have done autopsies on just intestines alone weighing 300 pounds. Now, really, how often did that person go to the washroom? Evidently not a lot, and did not eliminate a lot of bowel, which is a problem. Which is a problem when your intestines carries a lot of weight. It can carry a lot of weight. That's why it's so important, so important to eat your fruits, eat your vegetables, eat your fiber. Making sure you're getting plenty of water along with other fluids just to help keep that body healthy. It is a part of your life strategy. I cannot emphasize that enough. All right. And what goes along with that, a lot of times people have found out that when you decrease the amount of weight in your intestine by having the waste products move out on a regular basis, your weight also decreases. Waste and weight do have a correlation a lot of times. Waste and weight. All right. So when you're looking, if you're looking to lose weight, don't just jump on the next diet fad, or start eating healthier. Start with that. That's what your body really needs. That's what your body it really is craving for. Eating healthier. All right. So these are some of the things that anyone can do to help decrease the incidence of pelvic floor disorder. Of course, there's bladder training, such as what is known as Kegel exercises that can be done while you're sitting in a chair. All right, while you're sitting watching television, or sitting at your desk at your computer, while you're sitting anywhere, or making a part of your regular exercise routine. Talk with your doctor, and your healthcare professional team, letting them know that you would like to have more information about what can be done to decrease the incidence of pelvic floor disorder. All righty. So Kegel exercises, and there are many others. The Kegel is one of the easier exercises that both men and women can do. Well, we've talked a little bit about, it's time to go now. We talked a little bit about pelvic floor disorder. It affects both men and women. And if you think of the pelvic muscles as a hammock, then all of the organs on top of that hammock, which includes your bladder, your urethra, your intestines, and for women, your vagina, your cervix, your uterus, all of these organs are resting on this hammock of muscles. And when you're diagnosed with pelvic floor disorder, which might also be called the PFD by your doctor, then these muscles have lost tone. Now, all is not over. You can regain your health following the regime of your doctor. Of course, they might prescribe other things than what we have discussed here, but you can regain your health. So do not be discouraged. Know that there is help. And simple things that you can do every day to either decrease your incident of pelvic floor disorder, or to perhaps even hopefully correct symptoms of pelvic floor disorder, include walking, lifestyle changes such as walking, eating correctly, and losing weight, making sure that the feces in your intestines is moving on a regular basis. And let me just insert here, a lot of people ask, well, how often should I move my bowels? Well, okay. Well, here's one example that all of us have seen. When babies eat, when infants eat, they're usually eliminating within the next 30 minutes to an hour, but usually within 30 minutes after their meal. And that's a general guideline I like to keep for myself. All right. So I keep things moving throughout your system. Of course, talking with your healthcare provider, you can set up a schedule for your own bowels. But the one typical formula that is really, if it really hits home for a lot of people, is if you eat 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, there are 21 meals that you have eaten. 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, that's 21 meals. Now, if you only eliminate once a day, that would be 7 times. All right, 7 times for the week. There are still 14 meals inside of you. What are they doing? They're festering. They're adding weight to your pelvic floor. All right, and they can lead to a lot of other problems. So we really want to pay attention to what we're putting in and also what we're releasing out of our system, and just keep things moving. Like I said, uh, talk with your healthcare provider so you can decide upon the best treatment regimes for yourself, natural, or if you must go natural and a combination of regimes of natural and perhaps some other regimes such as medication, or hopefully not surgery, but sometimes there's surgery is involved. Then, get on the strategy, okay? Get on the life strategy of correcting your health so that you can look good and feel good, have a more positive outlook on life. Well, I hope this information has helped all of you. Like I said, you can share this information. It's in our private Facebook group. Next week, we will be talking about yet another condition that affects women during this month of Women's History Month. Until then, if you have any questions, you can always direct message me at Beverly Sherelle Johnson. You can always email me at betterlivingwithplants@gmail.com. Until then, I am Beverly Sherelle Johnson. I will see you next time on another edition of Eat What? Bye bye.